What's up, everybody? In this video we're going to show you how to make this awesome double waterfall console table, so check it out. Alright, so first we have a slab here of butternut, which is also called white walnut. And what I'm doing is I'm just trying to find the center of the slab. The customer did not want live edge slab, so we're actually going to cut the live edge off. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead, find the center, and we're going to use this chalk box to mark the center. So we're going to do that first, and then we're going to go ahead and cut off these live edge, and I will save it for another project. So what I got here, I'm actually going to try out my new track saw for the first time. And you can see here my camera messed up. I didn't get the first cut, but you can see I cut off that first live edge. So once we found the center, we were able to measure out and find the edges, because she wanted 13 inches wide, and so we measured from that center mark 6.5 inches to get that other side. So 6.5 inches is half of 13, so that's why we got our measurements here. What's cool about this track saw is the guide doesn't slip. It has this anti-slip thing, and I put it to the test really to see if it would slide, and it doesn't. You can see that here, and you'll see me kind of work out all the kinks because it's my first time using a track saw, cutting all the way through and the depth of the cut and all that stuff. But man, I tell you, I'm really happy that I bought this piece of equipment because it saved me a lot of time. It was expensive, but what I didn't save in actual cash, I saved in time, and it ended up paying for itself. So what I'm doing here is I'm just cutting off that live edge so that I can have a nice rectangular piece of wood. The saw wasn't going as deep as I had thought, so I was trying to cut all the way through. And we're actually going to see how well this track stays. Let's see if it slides around, but it actually doesn't. Does a really good job. And you'll see that here. We started the cut, finished it with actually a pretty clean transition. I don't think there was very much of a step at all, but we came back and cleaned it up anyways. As you know, I'm not wearing any PPE, so don't do like me and actually put a dust mask on. This made a lot of dust. It's harmful if you breathe it in. I was so distracted by using my new tool, I forgot to do that, but you can see the live edge here. We cut both pieces off. The next step here, you can see this crack on the end. We're going to go ahead and cut that off. So I'm just making a mark here to cut that checking off because I don't want it to crack later on in the future. So you can see I made a mark well past that spot there that was cracking, so we can get that all cut off. Once again, got our track saw. I didn't need to do it this way, but I just wanted to have fun and use it. And you know, why not? I need to get experience, so we're using this Festool TS75 to get the job done. Just making a cross cut here. I use that line on the reference to get myself a square cut, and the guide just follows that line. It's pretty easily, actually. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and measure the legs. So, because this is a waterfall table, what that means is the grain wraps down the sides and follows all the way to the ground. So you use the same slab to make the legs and the top out of one piece. So I was just measuring to see what I got, to see if I could cut this other check off the other side, and we had enough. It worked out really nicely. You never want to make a full pass, this is like 2 1/8 inch thick. It binds at the saw. You want to make a few shallow passes to get it cut off. That's the safest and easiest way to do it. You can see it here. That's what I'm doing here. Because it's my first time cutting a miter on this, I had my friend Justin here help me hold the track. I need to get clamps, and I didn't have any, but this track saw was the only thing that would cut an 8/4 slab on a 45 and go all the way through. And if you see here, the slab is actually slightly larger than that. It's more like 2 3/16 of an inch, more like 9/4. And it didn't make it all the way through, but there was just a hair that didn't go through. I was able to break it off, which you'll see here in just a second. The best way to do this would actually have it up on a table and have clamps on the track so it doesn't move. But like I said, I didn't have any of those clamps. They are on order. But I really needed to get this job done. Because of COVID, we had tools behind. This tool actually took me almost a year to get, which was pretty crazy just because of the lead times on machinery. So you'll see here I'll get it cut all the way through almost, and how we have to kind of bend it backwards to break it off. Nothing a sander couldn't fix, but normally you want to you want to cut all the way through the piece. You can see it was just a hair of material left, but the sander went ahead and cleaned it up nicely. So that's the first leg. And to get a waterfall, you actually have to take 2 45 cuts out. It leaves just like this little triangle piece, but that way the grain follows from the top down the sides. You'll see once I start putting these together what I mean, but we just want to cut this little triangle piece out. See? And now we have the 45 that we need to match the top. We do that again for the other leg. And once we have the 2 legs cut, obviously we have everything to make the table, which is a top and 2 legs. The goal is obviously to keep the grain running all the way across the top and down the legs, and that's what gives you that waterfall. It's actually really, really pretty.
Okay, I just kind of laid these up here, but now you can see why I did the miters the way that I did. You can see they're still a big gap because I haven't pushed them together. They're balanced right now. But that's essentially how it's going to be. Double waterfall. All that means is the grain comes up. Looks like I have the sides on the wrong side, but double rainbow.
No, I mean this. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that goes over here.
You see that? And that line up? I guess that doesn't line up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. You're right.
But anyway, same principle. But you can see my miters are pretty on point. They both kind of line up.
Yeah.
So it's going to look pretty cool. All right, time to sand. Isn't it? Do you think it's weird being on camera and trying to act normal?
I think so.
It is weird. It's like you got to perform like there's like a whole audience here, but there's not actually an audience here.
Who's you?
It's just me. Just me.
So the next step here is the glue up, and what we're going to use is a dowel joiner, and here I'm just marking out where I want the dowels to go, and I want them to match on both boards. So I have each piece laid out in order so I know that each measurement is accurate. Obviously the most accurate would be to use some calipers instead of a tape measure, but this is what I had at the time. If you guys have seen my place before, I actually have a shop at my house, but I'm actually using work, my full-time job, until the new shop is being built. Here I'm just extending the lines so that the line on the dowel joiner is easy to see. On the dowel joiner itself, it has this guideline to kind of show you where the dowels are going to go, and it puts 2 dowel marks, one on each side of that line. So that's all I'm doing here, is just extending these lines. So we're going to go ahead and extend the lines down onto the glue surface, just so I know that things line up. That's really all we're doing here. And we actually get to use the dowel joiner here. You'll see me use it now. We'll have a video coming out on this dowel joiner, which is actually a really, really awesome and easy product to use. This thing worked really well. We're going to do 3 sets of holes per each joint because I really want it to be strong. And here you can see this thing can be moved onto a 45-degree angle so that we can get the correct angle. We want the dowel to be going diagonal in the joint. Here we're just going to do a little bit of a slow-mo. Look how much dust is coming out of that thing. Wow. Remember, use the PPE. Alright, we're going to fill the holes up with some glue, put some dowels in. And I should have a brush here for spreading the glue on, but I don't. But the Lord gave me 10 little small spreaders, so we're going to use those to spread the glue around on the joint. You do want to make sure you have a lot of glue in there, and you want a lot of squeeze out. If you can see this, I have those little triangles taped onto the back to give an edge to clamp to, but you'll be able to see here in just a second that the tape did not hold very well at all, so I had to do one leg at a time and kind of change up my gluing because this thing did not work.
Alright, the little block came off when I put too much pressure, so we decided to get some bar clamps. And luckily, still square. So we're square, we're good, got good squeeze out along the whole bottom. So we're good. I'm gonna do one side at a time, let it dry, and I'll flip it around.
Alright, now we're going to get to sanding, and in the video clip that you'll see here soon when I'm putting the finish on, you guys really need to be efficient when you sand. And what I mean is use a light and go over all the little spaces to see what you're missing. I actually missed a little strip, you'll see here in the middle in a minute. And my wife gives me a call. At least I think this is my wife calling me. So I had to take a quick minute to talk to the wife, and then we'll get back to sanding. Always got to make time for the wife. Alright, so you'll see later on in the clip the spot that I missed. You can actually see one on the back of this leg here that needs to be sanded out. Some staining from the straps. So what I'm saying is, in the light that I had, I didn't see this until it was contrasted in the video, and I actually had to sand the finish back off and refinish. But the end product came out nice, but I could have skipped that whole step having used a light to kind of look at the surface in a different angle. We're starting off with 100 grit, we're going to 120, and then we're going to move to 220 grit sandpaper. We're actually finishing with, 180 grit. We're going to finish with 180 because we're going to be using Rubio Monocoat as a finish, and this is going to be a tinted Rubio Monocoat, and it requires 180 as the finish sanding. So you can see here that little strip in the middle that I was talking about. I didn't see it until I watched the video back, and I saw this in a different light. When I moved the table, I could see it plain as day, but in this portion of the video, I could not see it. So go back to what I was saying is we really want to pay attention to the details. If you want a more detailed video on how to finish with Rubio Monocoat, I have them on my YouTube channel, and you can click up here at the top corner if you want to do that.